In the middle of all this media shakeup and Netflix stepping in to disrupt the game, I've noticed someone has gone unusually quiet about where their podcast is headed and what's next. When I brought up Mona and Breakbeat Media breaking up, people immediately hit me with, you just hate Mona. Every time you talk about her, it's negative. Nah, I'm just trying to figure out what's really going on here. And it's wild how coincidental it was that she ended up at the Joe Budden podcast while still supposedly under contract with Breakbeat Media. Joe's been throwing shots at Breakbeat Media for the last 2 years, directly or indirectly, and now her last episodes finally dropped there, but all the episodes are still up on YouTube. Her face is plastered everywhere on their site, and Google still points everything that pulls up her podcast to Breakbeat Media, so it makes me wonder. When I reached out to Mona a while back, suggesting she join the Joe Budden podcast, she clearly seemed interested just by responding. Now, with nothing moving forward, it makes me question why she was left off the JBN commercial, especially since she was pushing all the shows and making a big deal about it. The timing is rough, because every time she speaks now, they just gloss over her if they don't want to acknowledge her. But she was serious. Why wasn't she included in the commercial? She came in, got Pod of the Month the first month, made a splash, and the audience knows her. So why was she skipped while someone else, the person they supposedly wanted to phase out, got the spotlight? To me, they should have rolled out the red carpet, put her in the commercial, excluded him, and sent a message. But they did the opposite. Of course, she's the newbie, I get that. You have to earn the credibility needed to land a commercial. Still, this was poor timing for Mona. That national commercial during sports and CNN, even if it didn't air, would have been huge, especially since she's currently without a home. Personally, I think in the bigger picture, Joe signed Mona and doesn't want any harm to come her way, while also showing her love. I remember her saying Joe paid the bag for her to show up, so I'm assuming he did, playing the long game to secure her IP. I'm super curious where her podcast will land next year, because let's be clear, it wasn't canceled, canned, or her being fired. It's the holidays. She's on a successful podcast within the Joe Budden network, and I'm just eager to see where she takes her talents. Joe is in the middle of one of the biggest pushes he's ever done independently, even bigger than when he was a musical artist. This is massive.
Having Mona under the label would seriously cement Joe's push. Let's be clear, he's paying attention to everything happening, not just Charlemagne's moves. He's been watching what went down with Colin Carrer, another person who did deals with Netflix. Some of his shows are already there. Rory and Mal, Joe and Jada, that's a whole other level of production. Joe's eyes are on everyone, making moves with other podcasts beyond their own shows. Mona signing with the JBN would be huge. And he said, we're filming more commercials and you have to perform. That puts it in Mona's head that her performance has to be flawless. At the same time, he strategically featured the other shows in the commercial for a reason. If she signs with the network, one of the promises would be, Mona, your show will be in the commercial, your standalone show, and I'm not taking your rights away because you built this yourself. She has negotiating power too. Where else can she go that already has the infrastructure set up? You can see the vision and understand the strategy. While Joe is promoting his brand, my speculative mind sees him also trying to sign new talent. This is why he won't speak on Melissa. He's fully in control if an NDA is involved. She's not the one making him sign anything. Joe's strategy is clear. He's not throwing money around just to push out show after show. He's quietly watching Charlemagne, Ken Care, Bill Simmons, Dave Port, strategically, one step at a time. And here's a cold move. Imagine Joe signing Mona and then letting her go to Netflix, Tubi, or wherever the next big contracts land. That's exactly what Dave Port did. He let shows go, but didn't give up his entire network. iHeart's strategy with Black Effect was similar. Take 15 shows over, see if it works. Don't hand everything over before testing. Now the real question is ownership. Does Breakbeat own Mona's show? Does she own her IP? That's why we haven't seen a new drop yet. Whoever she signs with next might have to buy the rights from Breakbeat Media. Even if Breakbeat said, take it, we'll let you go free of charge, she has to think about her content, past and present, and build bigger and better from here. This is prime time for Mona to decide, sign with Joe and leverage his infrastructure and vision, or go independent and capitalize on the free flow and money Netflix is throwing around to compete with YouTube. YouTube is watching too. They might start offering massive incentives to bring big names into their ecosystem. I remember when YouTube rolled out that $300K deal just to sign podcasts. Times are changing fast, and the next move Mona makes will be crucial. So Netflix is throwing the big bag, and eventually one of these deals will reveal the real numbers, hopefully. Notice how Charlemagne's deal is the only one with a number attached. Interesting, right? But that's a story for another day. Right now, with all these companies battling for talent, it's prime time for Mona to sign somewhere. But here's the thing, everything I'm saying is speculative. If you've been watching her podcast and she mentioned plans for her next move in the later episodes before her break, drop it in the comments. I'm not afraid to be wrong, I just want to get to the bottom of this. Me being the Joe stan that I am, it would make perfect sense for Mona to sign her podcast under Joe's network. Think about it. Mona, you wouldn't have to give your rights away. You could essentially loan your show to him, kind of like how people loan content to Netflix. This move could help both sides grow. You could eventually reach Charlemagne or Joe Budden level influence on the female side, or become the next Angela Yee, however you want to frame it. You'd help Joe get his network signed, secure a big bag for the deal, and gain more creative freedom because your show is officially part of the network. And while you're at the Joe Budden network, watch how little the rest of the crew could tell you to shut up. That's why Mark can speak the way he does. He's proven himself across multiple shows, moderated Podwives, given his all on BTS, and consistently shown up. Without that, Joe would have already put him in his place. It's clear, Joe doesn't play with antics unless someone earns that space. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think I'm onto something? Somewhere in the middle? Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't yet, and you already know how we're rocking. I made a pretty salacious video recently. I'm not even going to tease too much here, but if you want the full scoop, check it out on Patreon. Trust me, you'll be interested. I'll see y'all later. Peace.